Good evening. Yes, I know the title is super shameless. I just need a video that the algorithm likes. Fight me. If you aren't aware, I recently did a series of streams where I spent all my time grinding the hardest challenge in base game Rain World Downpour. That being Challenge 70. I spent over 6 hours grinding this challenge, which is almost as long as it took me to complete literally every other challenge in the game, if not longer. Now, as to whether or not that's the hardest thing you can do in Rain World Downpour, I mean, I guess you could probably brew some alchemical witch's brew of horrible shit to make the worst expedition known to man, and that could probably be harder, or you could play Saint blindfolded or something, but I'm not going to include that because that requires RNG. The hardest challenge handcrafted by the devs is what I beat. Can you tell I want validation for beating this? Like and subscribe. Anyways, this video is going to be different from the other two challenge videos I've made. This isn't going to be a highlights video. This is going to be a full breakdown. How would I even make a highlight of streams that were 95% me dying doing the exact same thing, 4.9% me stalling so I didn't have to keep going, and 0.1% me actually beating it? Anyways, yeah, breakdown. Challenge 70 takes place in a zero-gravity iterator puppet chamber. Your target of this challenge is to kill Sliver of Straw, who sits calmly in the middle of the room. You're playing as Ascended Saint, so as soon as you go in, you're probably going to end up clicking your button on the iterator, and... Welcome to Phase 1. It's not that hard. Once you blast Sliver for the first time, she starts out by firing white laser beams at you. The beam explodes as it hits the wall, and fun fact, the beam itself doesn't ever kill you. It only pushes you back towards the wall where the explosion is, and the explosion does kill you. It's also a lot bigger than it looks, so be aware of that. In total, she shoots 11 of these beams, with about 1.5 seconds in between each beam firing. This phase isn't hard at all. There are about 3 strategies to it, but as long as you keep moving and don't get clipped by beams, you'll be completely okay. In the meantime, let me tell you about the mod that made this possible. Rebind Everything. It's my new favorite mod. It lets you rebind all the special inputs required for the Downpour Slugcat gimmicks. This includes Artificer's Parry, Jumps, Saint's Tongue, and yes, Saint's Ascension input. God bless this mod. It makes life so much easier. You could not pay me to play this challenge without this mod installed. Anyways, yeah, the winning strategy is super easy. You literally just jump off the walls. You start it off by going up against the left or the right or the top or the bottom wall. It doesn't matter. And then once you see a beam start to be shot, jump to the next wall. Second you hit that wall, jump again. Repeat like a Windows screensaver until you can ascend her after about 17 boring seconds. The only times I died here were when I was just blatantly not paying any attention and reading chat on the 4th hour, or before I knew how the phase worked. Phase 2 is a lot harder, as it introduces the bane of my fucking existence, the grid. The grid is what I call this little pattern, where 4 lines get placed down in a square pattern, with the corners exploding into Karma 10 symbols that kill you if they touch you. Sliver will fire off 14 of these, with about 1.5 seconds in between each firing. Now, I say that they kill you if you touch them, but realistically they just kinda kill you when they feel like it. That's primarily because the hitbox is so wonky, it can genuinely just feel like RNG whether or not you get hit. Sometimes I swear I'm in the grid and I'm already writing my will, and then it just lets me pass with a kiss on my cheek and nothing else. Other times I'm 2 zip codes away in Kentucky hiding from the IRS, and a M14 rifle round goes right through my skull and wipes me off the face of the planet. But that's not the biggest issue. While the hitbox feels like RNG, the biggest problem with this phase is the actual RNG. There is no pattern or logic behind where the grids go, so sometimes you get an easy phase, and other times Sliver is straight up marking you for death and attempting to wipe you the fuck out with every new placement. Overall though, it's not that hard. The main strategy I settled on was the aptly named Snuggle strat, where you stay as close to Sliver as possible, within snuggling range, and make micro adjustments with the tongue. Speaking of which, I should probably clarify the 2 main movement types used throughout this challenge. Saint is weird in zero gravity, probably because he has none of it in his campaign besides the very, very end. If you use the tongue with nothing to grab onto in zero gravity, it'll end up just scooting you forwards a little bit in the direction of your choosing. This is used for micro adjustments and moving slowly. But the main way to move quickly is by utilizing Ascension and then canceling it, because using Ascension to actually move precisely is way too expensive. Using it for a second to gain momentum and then canceling it is ideal. The quicker you can cancel it, the better. Use this if Sliver ever decides to enter into Ultra God mode and places 4 grid patterns in a row right on your face. You should master this tech before you even try to get to phase 3 though, as it's necessary for every other phase besides the first 2 and maybe the last one. Deaths in this phase will mostly come from you either not paying attention and getting whooped, wonky hitboxes killing you when you think you're safe, or by the aforementioned bad RNG putting grids where you're going and where you are. Complacency is the enemy. Even though you'll be seeing this phase a lot, don't go around thinking it's a free win. Sliver can and will punish you for that. Phase 3 is a lot less hard than Phase 2, but it does require knowledge of the Ascension momentum tech to get through smoothly. Phase 3 has Sliver play Megalovania over the Aux and release a spiral of lasers that goes about 450 degrees around her. That's a full rotation and a quarter rotation. She does this 4 times with about 4 seconds between the end of the last attack and the start of the next one. Between those attacks, she'll move a little bit. The best way to avoid the laser ring is simple. Follow it. Use the Ascension to skirt a tight square, or if you're really good at triangle, around Sliver. Do that 4 times and you're all set. At first I just tried to do a tight circle using the Ascension Power's full movement capabilities, but found that uses too much juice and you don't have enough to ascend her at the end, so only use that as a panic option. Oh yeah, by the way, make sure you're saving at least 4 blips on the Ascension gauge for the end of the phase. It takes a lot of juice to blast her. I'm not exactly sure why it takes so much, but it does. Deaths on this phase are mostly caused by negligence or by being distracted, but can also just be caused by not knowing the tech, as most of mine ended that way. Ooh, don't even get me fucking started on Phase 4. Trust me when I say this. This is the goddamn hump. This is the vegetables before the dessert. This shit is the hard part. Before it even starts, Sliver just monologues at you with the same soundbite every single time. I have heard this soundbite so much. Make it stop. This phase is literally just a combination of Phase 1 and 2, but ever so slightly off. The grids and the lasers happen at slightly different intervals, with the laser being every 1.5 seconds as usual, and the grids coming every 2.5-ish seconds. I don't know, it's something weird like that. Not quite 3 seconds. So they're ever so slightly decent. Remember when I said that the laser wasn't an issue because it only ever knocked you back? Yeah, now getting flung around willy-nilly is a death sentence because the grids take up a majority of the screen space. She shoots off 9 grids and 16 lasers, and this is easily the longest of the phases so far, and it's just a total mess. The RNG here can really decide to fuck you. There's no consistent strategy as far as I know, at least not on keyboard, just wing it. The biggest issue I personally have with this phase is the laser hitbox. This thing is so much bigger than it looks. It's deceptively massive. Insert dick joke here. This thing will clip you and send you flying whenever it goddamn feels like it. I have been hit from the exact opposite side of her and been sent caterwauling all the way into a conveniently placed X that ended my attempt right there. Even if you do manage to ascend to catch yourself and stop your momentum, you're probably just going to die anyway because, again, the lasers come super quickly, and you're probably not going to be able to avoid it before you get pelted with another shitty laser hitbox and sent back towards the next grid. Not to mention, Sliver is constantly surrounded by a little distortion barrier that makes it obvious when you can and can't ascend her. This wouldn't matter, but the biggest issue is that it completely fucks up your field of vision. If you're next to her, there's a solid chance the laser hitbox is going to get skewed by the barrier, or as my chat called it, the wibbly wobbly. My final strategy for this phase that I had was to adapt on the fly. Staying next to her puts you at super high risk of getting clipped by the laser hitbox or having your vision distorted by the wibbly wobbly, causing you to make a mistake. So, I stayed far away, drifting along the walls and in straight lines across the arena between the grid lines to make sure I was never caught up by a laser. After the longest and most stressful 25 seconds of your life, you can finally end this hell and get on to the second, but at least a little bit easier hell. Deaths in this phase were obvious and most numerous. Fuck you, Phase 4. Phase 5 is, on paper, the hardest, but actually grants you a lot of forgiveness for mistakes. Sliver draws a little circle around you with this weird bullet pattern made of white orbs that kills you on contact. Stay inside the circle. That's it. At first, this seems super daunting, but I have a secret for you. It always moves in the exact same pattern. Just watch a YouTube video or slam your head into the wall to memorize it. That pattern is an infinity symbol, or a sideways figure 8. It'll start by drifting down to the bottom right, and then up, and then down to the bottom left, then up again, rinse and repeat with the circle getting smaller and smaller. Keep in mind, whenever the circle goes from corner to corner diagonally across, it moves crazy fast. Do not hesitate to fucking fling yourself across the arena, or else it will catch up with you and vaporize you. As the circle gets smaller, it also starts to move slower, and the figure 8 gets closer to the center of the screen. After a while, moving with the Ascension stops being viable, and you gotta tongue about. After a little bit of this though, she becomes ascendable, but the circle doesn't stop moving. Get into a safe spot and blast her quick. The biggest killer in this phase is poor juice management. You gotta make sure you keep your Ascension gauge, or you will be caught unable to ascend her, doing the funny tango for longer than you'd like, and you will die before you get the 4 blips you need. Focus on swift movements, and never keep your gauge on for long enough for it to drain. It's hard to manage, but swift momentum corrections are all you should be going for. However, there is still room for error. You can catch yourself if you fling yourself a little too far. Don't crash into the edge of the circle like an idiot just because you're scared of spending too much juice. This phase requires a lot of memorization, but on its own it's actually rather fun. The only issue is it's after the shittiest hurdle known to man. Most deaths here are just caused by not knowing the pattern or simple movement mistakes caused by nerves. But once you're over this, it's the home stretch because... Phase 6 is easy as fuck. I don't even really know how to describe it because it's so easy. I barely spent any time here. Sliver puts 2 walls of balls on the top and bottom of the screen and then starts to launch pillars of light towards the center. Don't even try to dodge them. Just hang out on the left side of the screen and don't stray too far from that wall because she can't hit you there, I think. My only death here was when I was on the right and she just sent a pillar and exploded it instantly, so I'm just gonna assume that the right is evil and the left is safe and happy, just like my view on politics. Anyways, shit gets real when she starts to move the balls a little bit up and down. Make sure you're not too close to that wall for this so you can ascend up and down to match it. Fun fact, you can't actually ascend when you're able to wall jump. I guess it considers you being grounded and you need to be jumping to ascend. Keep that in mind. I almost died because of that fact. After a little bit of the most stressful experience of your life, you'll be able to blast her and... Sorry, wait, what? Oh, okay, sorry. There's another phase. It's just a victory lap, thank goodness. She just sits there and lets you blast her again, and when you do, it's over. At first, I was a little bit worried I'd end up... Hold on, wait, how did I end up dying here? Yeah, bitch. She has another trick up her sleeve. Once you ascend Sliver at the end of Phase 6, she wipes the balls away like a curtain, and they still have active hitboxes. So if you're to the left or the right of them when she swipes them away, you'll... Yeah. I count this as the world's first Phase 7 death. Fuck you if you died to this before me, my pain validates me, and I have a platform. Anyways, yeah, this phase doesn't matter. Just blast her and BAM! You did it! Wow! Holy fuck, that took forever. 184 deaths in total, baby. Game is too easy. Make a harder one next time, Akupara. Yeah! Despite this challenge only taking 3 minutes on average to beat, believe me when I tell you that this does not make it easy. Memorization is fine, but the amount of movement you gotta learn is crazy. This isn't like other bullet hells where the movement is precise and your hitbox is small. Your movement is strange and vaguely cumbersome, and your hitbox is covered in various flailing limbs that I swear to God matter when it comes to hitbox calculations. I have been clipped by that laser too many times for you to tell me that Saint's stupid flapping arms don't count as a hurtbox. Anyways, yeah, this challenge sucks, primarily due to Phase 4. It's got an achievement lock behind it too. Fuck you, got mine, thanks for watching. I'm gonna go back to making anime videos and streaming Fist Only Elden Ring now. Watch it if you want to. Bye-bye.